like to welcome back in studio. Every month we get her in here, Jeana Newbern, Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice. How are you?
I'm great. Good morning.
Good to see you.
You too.
Doing
Thanks.
well?
Yeah. Yep. Things are good. And I have a guest with me today.
You do.
I try to bring a guest most months, but don't always.
Sometimes you just can't dig somebody up that wants to do this.
So today, I'm lucky to have with me Sadie Keel. She's an LPN, a licensed practical nurse, and her role at Lake Sunapee VNA is Clinical Liaison. So we're going to talk a little bit about that role and her background, and glad to have her here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Sadie, appreciate you popping in.
Of course. Thank you.
Have you ever done anything like this before?
I have not.
Okay.
So when Jeana first asked me, I was a little nervous about it.
Don't be. You're fine. You're fine. Just think of it. Think of me as like a patient that has no idea what's going on, and just treat me that way.
Sounds good. Can do.
So as a liaison, what does that role look like?
Well, for me, it is interfacing with our referral sources and maintaining certain relationships and keeping that up, as well as providing education to the community and other facilities in regards to, education with hospice, home health care, and aiding in some of the education and teaching for them as well.
So is that going into people's houses and educating them, or is that going to the senior center or to different entities that need that education?
So it's actually a little bit of both. So I have provided hospice informationals to families on what that would look like inside the home, as well as going into different facilities. I'm actually going into Sullivan County Nursing Home this afternoon to do hospice teaching to their staff on the process and what happens when residents are passing, and how we aid in that to let them die with some dignity.
So does hospice go into assisted living facilities and help with that process too?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yep, we do.
So if someone's at Summercrest or Woodlawn or the Sullivan County Nursing Home, you guys still have the ability to...
Yes. Yep. We're in those facilities.
Very cool.
Yes. It's great.
Very cool. So as liaison, and so first off, you're a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's part of your job.
Yep.
And nursing there's such a wide spectrum of nursing, which is really, once you realize just how many different aspects of it. Is this what you were hoping to get into when you got into nursing, or did you see this opportunity and realize that this is a cool fit?
Yeah, so I actually saw this opportunity and I wanted to jump on it as soon as I could. I've done a little bit of everything. I've been within skilled nursing facilities, assisted livings. I did a little bit of traveling. Okay. I did some agency work, kind of bouncing in and out of different places every other week. And then in one position, I had worked with this company, Lake Sunapee, and I just fell in love with them. So the second I saw one of their jobs opportunity, I was like, I want to try this. I want to do this, and it's something different that I haven't done before, and I've fallen in love with it. And
we were talking off the air. You're kind of a hybrid model where you can sort of work from anywhere, but also have the ability to go out.
Yep.
But you're not confined to this room, the OR or the ER or something. Like, you get to have a day that is malleable and changeable.
Yes, which has been great, and it's flexible, and being able to get a call and provide a hospice informational at any moment has been wonderful and great. So each day is something different, and always keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, you probably don't know sometimes how your day is going to go, right? You think it's going to go one way, and then it takes a turn because someone needs the information to make a decision about what the next step is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And, sometimes there isn't a lot of time to make that decision. And so we want to make sure that we are on top of it.
So internally, how do you work with other people on staff? Like, are you kind of the go-between from the field nurses to the patients, or?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of the staff, between the home care managers reaching out for, we have this patient that is potentially coming home. This is what it could look like. Or, we have this patient that's in the hospital right now. Can we kind of follow up with the case managers and see, where this is going, and just let them know what our thoughts are, as well as, hey, we have this patient. They potentially could be looking at hospice. Can you go take a look, have a conversation with the case managers?
So I know what you're saying, but case manager, how do you explain that to somebody that is not married to a nurse? That's the only reason. That's the only reason I know any of this stuff.
Steve has an inside connection.
I hear about case management. So what is case management?
So a case manager is someone who oversees a certain amount of staff, it's not staff, but residents on the floor and help aid in their discharges and admissions to help them get to the places that they need to go and have all the tools to be successful outside of the facilities and hospitals.
It is really interesting how you've got like certain people that are overseeing these patients, and then there's all this interconnectivity, and that's, as a liaison, that's one of your jobs, is the interconnectivity, and make sure that point A knows point B and point B talks to point C, because communication is the worst thing, and sometimes there is none.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of background scene going on, especially even before taking this role that I was even aware of. So it's been very interesting to see how much behind the scenes there actually really is going on.
Yeah.
And we talk about how we work under a physician's order. Generally, we can't go into a home to provide home health care or hospice unless we have a doctor's order. That's just one tiny little step, really. That's just sort of a signing a paper. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, it's at its most basic form, but obviously then there's a lot of communication with that doctor, and he or she is part of the care plan. But yeah, then there's all these other players that are behind the scenes that are really making it all happen, and so it's a lot of coordination.
Sure. Yes. Now, in working with all, because you get the hospitals, you get the nursing homes, you have assisted living facilities. Are you kind of following the patient through their process?
Yes. So once there's definitely a lot of systems that are in place to alert us when our residents or patients go certain places. So following them from one hospital to what their discharge plan could look like, to potentially making sure that they have primary care appointments set up, and following throughout that process to make sure that they are getting the care that they need.
And I can imagine like Sunapee VNA and Hospice comes in at different points in people's lives. So, and you come in at different points. So they may be a patient of yours now, or they're not a patient and then they get referred to you, and now they're your patient and you're working with. So it must be, I don't know, I guess interesting to see how the whole process shakes down. Yes, definitely. We have the ones that, they could have had just a simple surgery and now need to go home with some home health and some PT. Then we have some that, just need some med management. So just going and doing a little bit of teaching in the home. And then you have kind of on the other side of it with that hospice and that aiding process and, helping the family, because we're there not only for the patient, but also for their families and loved ones to make sure that we can help in, the process as much as possible to make it as easy, since it is already such a difficult situation. Absolutely. What do you wish people knew more about your job or about the VNA?
For me, I guess it would just be, there are some misconceptions with hospice that, you have to be dying at the moment to, get that service. And I think that what I would love for a lot of people to know is that you don't have to be at that point to get on to receive hospice care. Starting earlier is better to help, so we're symptom management and helping that process with the family and the president to be more accepting and easier.
And do you work with the adult children too? Like, if the child of somebody that's in hospice, sometimes you got one is in charge of the finances, one's in charge of healthcare, so on and so forth. Like, is that your job too, is to talk with whoever the power of attorney or whatever? Yeah, depending. It's certain roles. So I will talk to the, DPOA when it comes to arranging certain equipment or things to happen, or, talking about maybe a DNR form or a post form, and, helping through that, but also helping them through all of the grieving process as well. Yeah. And you had said that you had found Sunapee VNA and Hospice beforehand, like you liked what they had done, so you were excited. What drew you? What was that thing?
Was their whole attitude, their caring. They were there for not only everybody in the facility, they were there for the staff that we had, the family, and they were just very responsive, it was just an all-around a wonderful experience.
And
Jeana, we hear that often. I don't know what it is in the water that you guys are. You guys have that.
We have good Kool-Aid. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, it does seem to be a common theme. And that's part of what we say to people when we're doing interviews and when we're trying to recruit people, that we are all about our culture. And that's really important to us. And we want people coming on board to be a good fit. And there's a lot of conversation beforehand about what that looks like. And we want people to come and be their authentic selves and, add to our culture and be a part of a team. And as there is a lot of independence in these these roles out in the field, but you have a whole team behind you too that you can pick up the phone anytime and call, and there are lots of meetings and daily huddles and that kind of thing virtually or via the phone. But yeah, I think we really try hard to maintain that culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have Jeana Newbern in studio and Sadie Keel. Sadie is the clinical liaison from Lake Sunapee VNA and Hospice, and Jeana, we get you in every month, which is always great. And I appreciate this. And I do love that there's so many different aspects of the VNA and hospice that as a general person, I wouldn't know about. So it's nice to kind of spotlight the different aspects.
Yeah. Yeah. And even over the years when we've brought in people in similar roles, I think they all have something different to share and add. So I hope people feel like they get something new out of each one of these segments.
Now, you guys are attending Thursday's Child.
We are. So the Elms restaurant, which is located at the New London Inn in New London, they have a program called Thursday's Child, where occasional Thursdays, part of the profits from that night's meals goes to a nonprofit. Okay. So tonight it happens to be benefiting Lake Sunapee VNA.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
So anybody who dines there tonight, whether they know it or not, just by dining there, 10% of the meal proceeds will go to Lake Sunapee VNA. So we are very thankful to the Elms for that. And this I think will be the last one. Then they kind of do other things for the summer, and probably it will come back again in the fall or winter. So some of us from the VNA will be there tonight at a table, but we hope to see anybody. If you feel like going out tonight, consider the Elms.
Sure. Now, how does this transpire? Do they reach out to you guys, or did you guys reach out to them?
In this case, we reached out to them. This is something that former owners of the New London Inn have done in years past, and the newest owners have just brought this back. Just in recent months.
Okay.
And so we had seen it in some of the area chamber advertising, that there were some Thursday's Child events scheduled. So we reached out just to find out what the process was. Kathy Raymond, who's our development officer, she is very involved in this kind of thing. So she spoke with them and they said that they would love to put us on their list, and we chose a date and here we are. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
You going, Sadie?
I sure am.
You excited?
I've never eaten there before, so I'm so excited to try something.
Yes. Their food looks delicious. Check out their website because they have lots of beautiful pictures of yummy looking things. Yeah. So if anybody wants to go, you just make your own reservation, just like any other night going out to dinner at any other restaurant. You can call them or make a reservation right on their website. And
Very cool. So that's tonight at the Elms, which is at the New London Inn. They changed the name and didn't used to be called the Elms, right?
Right. The restaurant has changed names over the years, yes, but currently it's the Elms Restaurant and Bar. Mm-hmm.
I still just think of it as, the restaurant at New London Inn.
Yeah.
No offense to them. I'm just really a slow learner. It's 63 degrees Main Street, Newport. Anything else for you guys to get on?
I think that's all for today.
Okay. How'd you do? First radio experience?
I feel better. Okay. So thank you for being so wonderful. That was great.
And thanks for coming, Sadie. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Thank you again. And we'll talk to you next month.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Lake Sunapee VNA is LakeSunapeeVNA.org is the website.
Yes, thank you.